Okay, folks, for this screencast, what we're going to do is look at the difference between good and bad figures. This video is mainly for my students. If you are watching this and you are a student of mine, I expect your code to look like this, or your figures to look like this. So first, let's look at a bad figure example. So I'm going to say x equals, I'm going to do a sine wave, so I'm going to say linspace 0 to pi, and I'm going to do 5 data points. And then I'm going to say y is sine of x, okay? And then I'm going to plot xy. Alright, so let's take a look at this. First of all, because we used 5 data points, you'll notice that this sine wave looks like a triangle. And sine waves are not triangles, they are curves. And so the first thing that we need to do to fix this bad figure is increase the number of data points. So use a lot of data points to smooth out curves. So we're going to have x is linspace 2 times pi. I'm going to use 100 this time. Y equals sine of x. And I'm going to plot x comma y. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fig equals figure. I'm going to drop down a figure, and I'm going to save this little file handle here for later. But what this is going to do is open up a new figure. So when I hit go, here is my bad figure, and here is my good figure. So now we can look at the difference between the two. Okay, some other things that are happening here. First, this line width is pretty small. I would like it to be a little bit thicker. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and say line width 2. And honestly, I'd actually like it in black because I'm going to put this into a Word document, PDF, whatever, and I'm going to print it in black and white. Okay, so there's my line width a little bit thicker. You might want to even go like up to 4, say, and get something that looks really nice like that. It's really hard to pinpoint points here, so you want to throw a grid on here. And so now you've got a grid, which looks really nice. There is no x-axis or y-axis label, so you want to do x label. What's the x-axis? I don't know. Say time in seconds. I'm just making this up. What's y label? Say current in amps. Sure. I need a label and units. Here, turn on grid. Here, increase line width. And then finally, here is use a lot of data points. And then this part here is always open a new figure. Alright, let's look at what we have now. Alright, so we're getting there. We still have a couple things to clean up. It's looking a little bit better. It's smoother. We've got a grid and everything like that. The next thing I want to do is the fact that this font, in my opinion, is way too small. If you drop this into a figure, if you're over 50 or 60, it's going to be really hard to read this. So what I want to do is plug this into a different font size. So what you want to do is you want to do set get current axis, which means it's the currently active axis window, and you're going to say font size, and I'm going to do 18. I'm going to make it super big. Okay, so now I've got really big font here. If you also notice, there's some white space over here, which I don't like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do xlim. So here, this is change font size of figure. I don't like the fact that there is white space over here, so I'm going to say give me the minimum of x and the maximum of x, and make that my limit. So change x limits. Now there's a little grid space here, but you know what? I really don't care. The fact is that this fills the whole figure window, which is what I wanted in the first place. And then finally, the only other thing that I really like is getting this gray part out of here. I think it looks really tacky, and I don't like it at all. So I forget this sometimes. I think it's get current axis color white. I think that's it. Nope, that was not it. Is it set fig? Yes. So that's why we saved fig here. The reason why we opened up a new figure and we saved fig in here, and then that way we can set the background to white. So now what we have is we have the bad figure over here on the right, the good figure here on the left. I would probably say the last thing would be add a title, and so you might want to say this is current versus time for, you know, I don't know, that's probably good enough. And so now we've got a title, we've got an X label with units, a Y label with units, we've got a really nice bolded line, it's very smooth, it's not triangular like this, and it's also white, so when we drop it into a figure it'll look really good. So if you think Excel can make better plots than this, it's probably because you haven't actually, you know, experimented with all the different settings. So again, if you're one of my students, I expect to see figures like this. If I see figures like this, I'm going to take off numerous amounts of points. So make sure to learn how to do this. Here's the code here to do that. Here's the bad example and the good example. Obviously, doing good is more work, but you are an engineer and figures need to look good. All right? Good luck.